So we have moved to a new place. We haven't left Seattle, but we've gone just outside of Seattle. So basically we lived in downtown Seattle from September of 2017 to we moved in July of 2020. So before we had a kid, downtown was great. You know, I mean, it's very, I mean, you can have a car, and I did have one when I worked. So you can get around that way, but typically, like, it's really hard to get around downtown Seattle with a car. Streets are small, tons of one-way streets, hard to find parking. So you typically will stay, unless you're willing to venture out of your neighborhood on a special occasion or on a weekend, you're typically going to stay like within a mile radius of your apartment. You're going to walk everywhere. It's not that pleasant, and it's during the winter season when it is cold and rainy, snowy. But when I didn't have a kid, those inconveniences weren't that bad. You know, I wasn't sleep deprived. I didn't have to worry about logistics of like how to get a kid here to there. Which as soon as we had Vivi, I was like, this is too inconvenient. We need to move to the suburbs. I'm done with this. And then all of the riots started happening, a lot more crime in downtown. And I'm not talking about the protests. Protests are fine. We had had protests before that. Really nothing violent broke out in the past. But with all the protests in 2020 that turned to riots, they were way too close to our apartment. You know, people were setting fire to things, people were being shot, and I just didn't want to raise my daughter around that and be near that. It wasn't safe, and so we decided to break our lease early, but still stay close enough to the city to where Danny can commute in when he needs to. He's lucky enough to be able to work from home, and he's been working from home since all the coronavirus started. And for the foreseeable future he will be, but he does on occasion need to go into his office. And so we're close enough to where the commute's not that crazy, but far enough away to where when things do happen, I pretty much don't hear about it because I don't live there anymore. And so moving day was pretty dramatic from the start. Danny was disassembling his desk that he had built, and it had these steel legs that were sharp around the edges, and he always meant to coat them in some way so that they were no longer sharp. We were planning on doing that before Vivi became mobile. So he was disassembling them, and I heard him say, I cut myself. And Danny has low blood pressure, and so he can't give blood anymore because when he gives blood, he passes out. I've never seen him pass out before. He came close one time when he was working out and got too hot in the gym, and he came downstairs and he became so pale, and he wound up, laying down and lifting up his legs and putting an ice pack on his stomach, and he got better. Well, he hurt himself pretty bad when he dropped one of the desk legs on his foot, gashed open his foot and gashed open his ankle. So he knew what was about to happen to him, but I didn't. And so he was trying to tell me, he was trying to get better. He was trying to put pressure on his wounds. He was trying to raise his legs, but it was bad. It had gotten so bad to where he knew he was going to pass out, and he was trying to communicate that to me. In the middle of him talking to me, saying it was about to happen, his speech started slurring, his eyes started rolling back in his head, and he started tensing up, almost like he was having a seizure. Like his arms and legs just like got extended, and it was horrifying to see. And I didn't know if he was able to breathe. I started panicking. Vivi was in her high chair. I was feeding her breakfast during all this, or before this happened. And just seeing him like that, like, you think when someone passes out, they just pass out, but this didn't look like that. It looked like he was dying. It looked like the computer shutting down. Like, it was the most terrifying thing I'd ever seen in my life. And so I run to my phone and I call 911. I'm panicking. I'm trying to get them to the apartment. And he's kind of starting to come to a little bit, but like still not all the way there. The paramedics finally get there. They got there pretty quickly. They didn't really do anything because he came out of it, and they were like, you can't really stitch these because of where they are. But they told him to, wrap him up really tight, put on socks, and he couldn't really do much the rest of the day. But I was severely rattled. I was insisting that he would go to a doctor, but he was like, I'm fine. And we had movers coming, and the movers came. There were 3 guys, and I don't even know if I finished like telling all this. I don't know if what I could say about the situation, about what happened to Danny, could really do justice what actually happened. Obviously, he couldn't see what happened to him, but now, anytime he gets any kind of a cut, I am terrified. I wouldn't let him drive the rest of the weekend. So we had the movers come to do the big stuff, and then we moved a lot of smaller stuff. Like, in hindsight, I will never do that again because that was a lot of work. I was just worried about them breaking things, and we did have some damage, like some nicks in furniture, and they almost like just randomly left furniture laying in the loading dock. I guess I'm what you could say is a type A person. And so these 3 guys descended upon the apartment and just started taking things. And I get really nervous because I know things can be lost. I know things can be damaged. And so my day started out in chaos, and I was very stressed out all day. I was more tired that day than I was the subsequent days where I had to go and get everything else. And pretty much because Danny was hurt, I wouldn't let him do anything. There was one day, like a day or 2 after, it had been like 24 hours, he hadn't passed out again, he hadn't lost any more blood, he was healing, to where he really wanted to go and do a little bit of the work. So there was a day where I let him do it, but the rest of the time was me. And I don't know if I've ever worked so hard in my life. Actually, on those days, I was less tired and less stressed out because I had control over the situation. The day that the movers came was my most exhausting day, just I think mentally, just having people in my space, touching my stuff, being at their mercy, like we had some nicks in our brand new dresser for Vivi's room, which I love. That's probably my favorite piece of furniture. I was really sad about that. They were supposed to put a mattress cover on our mattress, and they didn't. They just wrapped it, and then the wrapping moved as they were moving it, and I got black marks all along the side. And then we have this huge marble coffee table that separated from the base, but luckily it didn't shatter because of the way that they had it packaged. So they were able to put some kind of special glue back on it to adhere the top to the base again. I guess all in all, it could have been worse. But I think there's just a certain level of destruction you have to expect when you have people move your stuff. And it took me, I feel like it was faster to pack everything than it was to unpack everything. I know that it was. It took me a few weeks to get everything unpacked, but we're pretty well settled in now, and I love it out here. We have a car again, and it's just so nice to get into the car and go and do whatever you need to do. You don't have to get a lift ride, you don't have to rent a car. The car seat stays in the car, and it's just so much more chill out here, so much more family friendly. I see families walking, like biking together. It's just, I understand now why when people start families in the city, they move out to the suburbs. I have become so much less stressed. It was definitely a good thing to do for sure. I do eventually want a house, whether I rent one or buy one, but we are in a larger space. We have a second bathroom now. We have a proper second bedroom for Vivi instead of the den space in the other apartment. It's just so much more comfortable for our family. It's still small, but I hesitate to say it's more affordable because downtown Seattle is ridiculous, but the suburbs are also extremely expensive. But for a little less than what we paid in the city, we can get a little bit larger for space, 2-bedroom, 2-bath. And then, a parking space, a charging parking space no less, for our electric car is less than, it's like it's like half or more than half the cost of a regular space in the city. So all in all, it was definitely a good choice to do. Eventually we'll have more space, but I'm not working right now, and we do eventually want to get a condo as an investment property or second home to live in during the off season so that I can be around my family more. So we have other goals, but for right now, we are really liking the suburbs, the new space. I'm excited to explore the suburbs more. There's so much more to the Seattle area than downtown Seattle. So I just love getting out into nature more. And in the suburbs, you have a little bit more nature. The only complaint I would have is you don't have as many mountain views. So maybe when we get a house someday in the next several years, I would love to have a mountain view again, because I do miss seeing Mount Rainier every day and having a water view, and the city views are cool too, but gotta do what's best for your family. So anyway, that was my little update. Not too much to say, but just a little update on what we've been doing and where we are now. So I'm on a little bit of a roll with recording videos right now, and I think record my third one of the day. The one I did before this was The Batman trailer reaction, and then the next one I'm going to be doing an unboxing of Viv's latest Love Every box, so that she can actually start to play with the toys, because I've had that box sitting around for a month because I've not had any time. I've been either apartment hunting or packing or unpacking, so I'm glad that things are kind of returning back to normal so that I can start recording more videos, because they're so much fun to record. And if you saw my Unsolved Mysteries video, my review video of that, I saw that they're going to be releasing more episodes in October, which is exciting because of Halloween, and I'm going to be surely doing another review video of that. So I'll see you in the next video.